Hi guys, are the DUP secret Shinners? As in really supporters of Sinn Féin but trying to conceal it? Now, joking aside, unionism in Northern Ireland has a long history of shooting itself in the foot when it comes to promoting the union. This has been going on for decades, but the most recent example, of course, is Brexit. The DUP and other hardline unionist parties were warned that leaving the EU could put the union in jeopardy. But they ignored all that as part of what they called Northern Ireland's version of Project Fear. Now we have the Windsor Framework and the Northern Ireland Protocol, which, while problematic, protects Northern Ireland from some of the worst of Brexit. But the DUP want to destroy that. The headbangers want the Northern Ireland executive to remain mothballed until they get their way. But this just shows Northern Ireland as a failed experiment and boosts support for the alternative. Now, there are reasonable voices in unionism like Doug Beattie from the UUP, and he explained in this clip how more and more ordinary unionists are becoming United Ireland curious. Have a listen.
Do you think that the longer that this stalemate goes on, that the more people might start to think about constitutional change? They might start to think that this is the only way we can actually move forward?
Well, I got an email just this morning, actually, and a few messages this morning, and they aren't people who are saying I was a unionist and now I want a United Ireland, but there were people who were saying to me, I'm now United Ireland curious. They're now saying, I want to have a look at this because what I've got now is not providing for me, it's failing, and therefore I'm a United Ireland curious. Now, I've got to be clear, James, I'm not. I'm a unionist in every manner. There's no tick box for me here. We go through the roughs and we go through the smooths, and we're going through the rough at this moment in time. But you have to stick with it. That's where I am. But it's my job to persuade those people who are United Ireland curious. But the longer this goes on, the more people are going to look for alternatives. If you have no local government speaking up for you, they will look for a government that does speak up for you. And the truth is, Westminster doesn't understand Northern Ireland. We understand Northern Ireland. People in Northern Ireland understand Northern Ireland. We need to be making the decisions.
So the best place for unionism is going back to Stormont.
It is. And look, there's a hard pill to swallow for many people, and I absolutely accept that. People have had to make difficult decisions in regards to Northern Ireland for an awful long time, way beyond 1998. And there's difficult decisions to be made, and it's risk versus gain. What is the risk and what is the gain? Staying out of government, there's a real risk that Northern Ireland becomes a failed part of the United Kingdom. It's bad for the people, it's bad for Northern Ireland, it's bad for our place within the Union. But at least if we're in government and devolved government is up and running again, we can hold people to account. We can start to do things to improve the lives of the people here in Northern Ireland. So to me, the risk versus gain is simple. We need to be back in the executive.
In the run-up to the Brexit vote, support for United Ireland was declining. After the Brexit vote, it began to rise, of course. And, when the DUP throw their toys out of the pram, they demonstrate that Northern Ireland doesn't work. You have a party who campaigned for Brexit, campaigned to leave the European Union, and now are upset that they're not getting the Brexit that they campaigned for. And they're being ignored by Westminster. We saw recently with the Windsor Framework, the DUP saying, we want change, we want this thing, we want the Northern Ireland Protocol gone. The British government said we're not going to do that. They worked with the European Union for an agreement, a sort of upgrade in a sense of the Northern Ireland Protocol. No real changes, but, cosmetically an upgrade. And it was supported by a massive majority in the House of Commons. Both Labour and the Conservatives backed that. Now, I've spoken to unionists in the past, over the last number of years, both online and offline, and I've heard, and I've seen a massive divide between ordinary unionist people from that persuasion, and the politicians. The politicians will say, a United Ireland will not work, the unionist people don't want a United Ireland, but if you actually speak to people on the ground, they're more open to the idea, and the DUP are driving more people from the unionist community into the arms of Sinn Féin and those who want a United Ireland. It's insane. But I've said before that the DUP, their hatred of Ireland and the European Union is stronger than any love for the Union, because they should be embracing the Northern Ireland Protocol with open arms. They should be celebrating it, because what it does is it provides a unique position for Northern Ireland within the Union. But it also, in a sense, protects Northern Ireland. It gives it advantages that it wouldn't have in a united Ireland. Now, I think a united Ireland, Northern Ireland will be part of the rest of Ireland in any other sense. But at the moment, Unionists are concerned about what the future holds. And the DUP are not helping. They're actually driving more people into the arms, as I said, of Sinn Féin or nationalist parties, but also they're convincing more people to be United Ireland curious, because they want an alternative. They're seeing, okay, the DUP don't want to get into government, then what is the alternative? Because the British government don't want to rule from Westminster. They would prefer Northern Ireland to make its decisions. And we've heard that even from Brexiteers like Chris Heaton-Harris and Steve Baker. They want the Northern Ireland executive up and running. They want the people in Northern Ireland making the decisions. They don't want Westminster doing it. This is not like Scotland, where the Westminster wants more control. They would prefer Northern Ireland operate on its own. But if it doesn't operate on its own, and the people of Northern Ireland want a government that operates, then the alternative has to be a united Ireland. So the longer the DUP drag this out, the more they're going to convince ordinary people to support a united Ireland. And once people become curious about something, it's very difficult to turn them back. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.